Let's talk about Zhuang Zhou's dream of the butterfly. Also, sometimes called the dream argument, sometimes called the butterfly dream. Let's talk about it. Zhuang Zhou is a philosopher whose name is spelled in many different ways on the internet. We know that he was writing his philosophical text around 2,300 years ago, and he talks about the dream that he had where he was a butterfly. Ming, that's a Chinese word for dream, is the idea that your conscious mind can go to a different time or a different space. Like, have you ever had a dream that you were in the future or in the past? Or have you ever had a dream that you were in some other city where you're not currently there right now? So the dreaming is the ability for a conscious mind to travel to a different space and time. And if you've heard ideas like this in philosophy before, it's because lots of people have talked about dreams. Zhuang Zhou is just one of them. He's the Chinese philosopher who did so, and many other philosophers in China did as well. Greek philosophy has Plato, who discussed dreaming, and in doing so, Plato is talking about how you can't really trust your perceptions, your visual perceptions and auditory perceptions, etc., that you sometimes have dreams that you're talking to people. So in real life, when you're talking to people, what's the difference that tells you that this is real and not an illusion? The French philosopher Rene Descartes also had a similar discussion as Plato and Zhuang Zhou about dreams. And Rene Descartes draws a lot of skeptical conclusions about dreams as well. But let's focus on Zhuang Zhou. So what I want to do is read the dream excerpt and analyze it, which means to break it down, and then discuss more about Zhuang Zhou's philosophy so that we can understand what this excerpt means for Zhuang Zhou. Let's read it together. Once upon a time, I, Zhuang Zhou, dreamt I was a butterfly, fluttering hither and thither, to all intents and purposes a butterfly. I was conscious only of following my fancies as a butterfly. Pause. So the yellow highlighting of the excerpt is the part where Zhuang Zhou is saying, I was having a dream where I was literally a butterfly. So forget just having your consciousness go to a different place or a different time, also going to a different species. He was experiencing life as if he was a butterfly. Like that was his identity. Now let's move on from the yellow. And was unconscious of my individuality as a man. So he's telling us he was not a human being, but was a butterfly. Suddenly, and then now look at the pink highlighted, I awaked, and there I lay, myself again. So myself, the man, Zhuang Zhou. And this is where it gets problematic. Imagine waking up in your bed. So you have a mattress, and you look back, and there's a pillow. Okay? Let's keep reading, and let's go to the blue. Now, I do not know whether I was then, while I was dreaming, a man dreaming I was a butterfly, or, and here's where it starts to get fun, or whether I am now a butterfly dreaming that I am a man. Let's pause there. Are you having experiences as if you're a human being? Is it not possible that you are not a human being? Actually, you're a butterfly. You are a butterfly who's asleep right now, who's having a dream. And your dream as a butterfly is that you're a human being. If you could be a human being who has dreams that you're a butterfly, why is it not possible that a butterfly has dreams that it's a human being? So, Zhuang Zhou goes to sleep and has a dream, and in his dream, he's a butterfly, and then his consciousness enters wake life when he wakes up, and then he starts to wonder if he is a human being who had a dream that he was a butterfly, or if he is actually a butterfly who is currently having a dream that he is a man. Let's keep reading, between a man and a butterfly, there is necessarily a barrier. The transition is called metempsychosis. If you look on the internet and you try to find out what is metempsychosis, you will find this word, metempsychosis, defined in the following way. It's a soul migrating at death of one body into a new body. In other words, metempsychosis is the idea of reincarnation, that your consciousness is in a body, and at the death of that body, your consciousness goes into a new body, and then the consciousness lives on through that new body. And that's what's happening in this dream excerpt. There is this change of consciousness going from one body to the other, that's for sure. But here's our question. Here's the question that Zhuang Zhou poses. How do I know that I am a human being who had a dream that I was a butterfly? How do I prove that I'm not actually a butterfly who is now having a dream that I am a human being? What am I? Consciousness stuff has experienced life from both the perspective of a butterfly fluttering hither and thither, and also from the perspective of a human being. So which one is his identity? This is supposed to make us draw conclusions in skepticism, that we should continue inquiring, but it also helps us understand Zhuang Zhu's dream argument when we look at all the other parts of his philosophy. Zhuang Zhu is a dualist. Dualism is the idea that reality is fundamentally made up of two opposite things that work together to make up all of nature. Zhuang Zhu is also a Taoist, which is a way of life, sometimes called a religion. Taoism, that's the one symbolized by the yin yang, where there's perfect equality between black and white, curvy and straight, and there's a circle in the white of black stuff, and there's a circle of black in the white stuff, that nature is mainly these two things coming together. And what Zhuang Zhu does in his philosophy is blur the lines between these two opposite realities. So he sees the barriers or the dividers, the boundaries between existence and non-existence, between reality and illusion, between wake life and dream life, and he wants to blur them. He wants to make us become skeptics, which means to continue inquiring about what is real, what is true. And also, he's a relativist. He has us asking questions about what is real, what is true, and his conclusion is that the truth is not mind independent, absolute, and universal, that instead the truth is relative to context. When you look at the dream excerpt, there is a literal discussion of consciousness, metempsychosis, between the human being and the butterfly being. And it's telling us that wake life is separate from dream life, and that separation is really similar to the separation between life and death. And we're also being told that transformations are natural. It is natural to go from wake life to dream life and dream life to wake life. Similarly, it's natural to go from life to death and death to life. So when we bring in Zhuang Zhu's relativism and his skepticism and his Taoism and his dualism, we can put his dream excerpt into context. The dream excerpt is about you realizing that your consciousness is going to be transformed between life and death, between life as a human and a dreamer. Maybe you're a butterfly, maybe you're a human, maybe you're awake, maybe you're asleep, maybe you're alive, maybe you're dead, and you're not supposed to have fear of these transformations. The butterfly excerpt is having you question your identity and question what you think is true and make you question your perceptions and your conscious experiences, but it's also supposed to make you feel steadfast and courageous. Do not fear death. Do not fear death, because moving from life to death is just like moving from awake to asleep or from asleep to death. These transformations are natural.